One of our leading stories today, the South African Federation of Trade Unions says more than 30 bodies and 80 illegal miners have so far been retrieved since the start of the government-led retrieval mission in Stilfontein began. The Police Minister Senzo Mnchunu and his mineral resources counterpart Gwede Mantashe visiting the area today to assess the operations there. Newzroom Afrika's Naledi Moleo is live for us in the Northwest this afternoon. Naledi, good afternoon to you. And it would seem, Naledi, that it is going to be a game of ping pong as to who should take responsibility for so many deaths thus far. There is a strong view that there are kingpins underground who may have been taking food for themselves and depriving others. Could they be to blame for so many fatalities? But on the other end, you have the government that is being blamed for its Operation Vala Umgodi, which is said to have deprived these people of food. Who's willing to take responsibility, at least for now?
Yeah, that is the ultimate question, Olia. Good afternoon to you once again and to our viewers. Who was going to take that responsibility? A ping pong moves between two people, but it seems you've got it moving in various directions here, with the Minister for DMRE making his way into Stilfontein today. And one of the questions that he was asked as he spoke to certainly the media at Shaft 11 of Stilfontein was, of course, the issue around what his role as the mineral resources department really is. And one of the points that he's made is that this mine is not derelict, and so it is not necessarily the purview of government to step in. Take a listen to what it is exactly that he had to say.
So the state takes responsibility for those. That's why we're closing holes on an ongoing basis that do not belong to the state, but we're left by, we call them ownerless and derelict mines. So that is where it is. So if it's an ownerless mine, it's a derelict mine. There is nobody who can be pinned down with responsibility. The state closed those holes. If it is an operational mine, the owner has an obligation to rehabilitate. For example, this mine is owned by Stilfontein Gold. It's an operational mine. It's not a derelict or an ownerless mine. So we can do everything to ensure that there's a rescue operation now, but the ultimate obligation is with the owner of the company, because they own the mine, they mine the gold.
In the words of Gwede Mantashe, the ultimate responsibility there lying with the owner of the mine, that being Stilfontein. But this is not a new institution, and many in the community saying that mine closed a long time ago. So really, where does the buck stop? But let's get a little bit of an understanding about what the community of Kuma certainly knows about Stilfontein, and that's where I am right now. The community very much adjacent to the mine that has made the news over the past few months. The gentleman behind me, some of the elder members of the community here in Kuma, who since a very long time ago had years. That is, of course, when the mine. We'll hear some of their stories in a moment, and of course, let's speak to Ubaba. Good afternoon to you. Mhlawumbe ungaqala ngokusitshela ukuthi wena waqala nini ukusebenzela Stilfontein, yavalwa nini, and why?
Nkosi Sasazi, kuSiphiwo Yengwa lona uthetha naye namhlanje. Stilfontein ngiqale ngo-1982. Kacase kubana siyasebenza ukubheka phambili neStilfontein. Ngo-1995 yangabikho iStilfontein. Kuthe phaa sisasebenza ngo-2000 siyabe sithi phaka seyizikontrakt ezidlala ngathi. Okokubana toti nte ndiyophuma ngo-2010 ndingaphethanga kasenti. Ndiyaqonda ukuthi mna kwaye wami ndaphuma ne-12,000 qha Desimelwe ke msasazi. Maningayithileyo. Kukho abanye abalila kakhulu. Abasalilayo. Abanamizi ekhaya. Isininzi thina abantu besebenza eBhefula sinamizi emakhaya. Sathi imali ngemva kuba kudlalwa ngathi zikontraki. Ikontraki ebezilapha xa ndinozibala zingaya apha esineni. Enye ikontraki yathi yasibaleke yosilukodeyitha le ekuthiwa nguDD. Idlale ngathi silamba apha kule khuma. Sinabafazi bethu, sinabantwana. Silamba sisondlwa intoni ngabelungu balapha eStilfontein. Bephatha icheckers bezapha ezinatsikeni. Sigijime siyapho kuba asinamali. Sacingelwa ngemali ebeqondakala ukuthi yeye amaligodeyitha. Yangawo natsikayo otata ababaswelekayo utata ukhona utata obenatsikile kuthiwa Sikhoyiya. Utata uSikhoyiya yanguye sicingelayo ngama-500. Sawarhola lo ma-500 lawo. Kacase kubana ke ngoku njengoba besimelwe. Sicelelwa kulaa mali yamanatsike yama-ex-mine workers ibinatsikiwe. Okokubana mayikwazi uba sirholiswe yona. Sibonile ngamatyala msasazi. Izomka imali. Senzelwe ezinye ibhuku. Uyize sithole ke ngoku loo mali, loo ma-30,000.
Ngikubuza ke tata, here in the community of Kumanje, ngoba ningabantu abadala, abantwana benu xa bethi bayosebenza basebenzela phi? Basebenzela khona kuleyo mine.
Abantwana bethu abasebenzi ngoku koko imayini zavalwayo. Kanganto yokuba msasazi. Sisuka phaya 11 shafu njengebebeni pha. Sibabonile oominister wamapolisa. Sambona uminister wethu wemigodi, uGwede. Kanganto yokuba besisithi okanye sawunikwa pha. Ukenzeka uba ke siphose ezingxaki zethu kuye uGwede. Apha sise-ofisini yama-ex-mine workers. Njengibulapha ngokumsasazi. Yi-ofisi le yama-ex-mine workers. Inegama layo ekuthiwa yi-NPO. Besiqonda ukuthi siyafuna phaya kuba sikwazi uba ke sinikwe umzuzu kuba njengoko singama-ex thina sibonise ukuthi iimayini mazikwazi ukuvulwa. Abantwana bethu bakwazi ukusebenza kuba abasebenzi.
That is Babus Piwo there, Oli, of course, speaking about how this mine has been there since the early 80s, and that is when he himself would have begun working for Stilfontein. But in the early 2000s, a lot of their work then becoming contract work, and a lot of difficulty in the years that followed around monies that could have been given to them after and during a process of liquidation of the mine. I want to bring in Obaba O Albert Tambo. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Tata. There is also the matter of the minister coming today. When he says, Tata, Okuti, he cannot speak for the mine as government because the mine still belongs to Stilfontein. In Shia opinion about Basekuma.
Thanks, Naledi. That thing is a real concern. And then the minister was not right to say so because it is not true. Us really in this area, we don't have jobs that is available. Also, we heard that the people who are working there illegally. So us as ex-mine workers, we've got a concern that why these mines are operating illegally, whereby there's a government that is leading us here in South Africa. Because now we heard that the people who already dead in underground. So now us as ex-mine workers, where we've got appeal to government that let's have a chance, let government give us a chance to operate those mines because there is a minerals there. So we as ex-mine workers, we are avoiding the operation that come from government that says the Vulam Godi. Us as ex-mine workers, we are saying Vulam Godi because there is a minerals that is there, is lying there because of people, they went there to fetch those minerals. Unfortunately, now they are dead underground, and then the ministers was there, and then we were willing to spoke with him, but they quit because of the situation, because of the community was not was very harsh to them. So now they quit. But now as we're expecting that the government must really come to us as ex-mine workers, because we work there, and then we are expecting that let's have a way of starting again to operate those mines.
One more question before I let you go, Mr. Tambo.
Yes, madam.
The numbers that we've heard today, I mean, they grow so quickly. At some point, we were hearing 26 bodies that were pulled out of the mine shaft, 11 just today. Yes. What is the reflection from the community on that number of men pulled out in just one day, not alive?
This is a serious crisis. We feel so painful as community, as ex-mine workers, that now today there are 26 dead bodies from underground. That thing showing that there is a chaos. There's a terrible situation that we had today, and we saw it, which is not, we are not happy about that. Let the government serious. That process, they must fast track that process. The dead bodies and the live people must come out by many numbers. And then we are willing that this time frame of 10 days really something must happen, because of we want to see the good results for the plans from the government, how they rescue the people that is already dead and alive in underground.
Mr. Albert Tambo, we appreciate your time. Oli, well, there you have it. Here in this community of Kuma, as they reflect on the numbers of those that come to the surface are dead and some alive, a conversation continues to brew here around the livelihood of the community of Kuma, that was lost more than a decade ago, and that exists moving forward even after this 10-day operation. William Gambi, back to you.
Naledi Moleo, thank you very much for that comprehensive update at Stilfontein. And it would seem two issues arise now, and they are very sharply raised. Number one, government is saying this mine is not ownerless. Buffelsfontein Gold is still the owner of these shafts, so they must take responsibility. That's one area. And then number two, the numbers of people that are coming out now, either by themselves through this new process, they are astounding. We are standing at about 80 people who are alive that have come out, and those that have died, the figure stands at 34. So what happens now to that narrative from government that said the people at Stilfontein do not want to come out? Does that change? I think that's where perhaps the conversation ought to be located.